Hi, welcome to Papa's Workshop. I'm doing a real quick video today because I ran into a couple of problems doing these plaques and I want to be able to discuss it. One problem had to do with actual cutting out the plaque with the easel, and the other one had to do with using the laser. So let's get started. Today, when I was cutting out all of these sheriff plaques, I ran into a problem that I've never had before. The bit that I was using was an 1/8 inch straight bit to be able to use. Now this cut very well, but one of the things that I ran into after I cut this, now this bit's been used for quite a while, so this isn't the only project, but I found out that these bits will get fatigue in the metal, and this bit broke, but it didn't break down at the bottom where the cutting surface is. This is the bit right here, and this is the top piece that actually broke off. And that really should go right on to there. And that was located inside of the collet. Now what was interesting, it did not damage any of the carvings, but what happened when I took the last one off and was getting ready to adjust it, the bit actually fell out of the collet. And I started to investigate and realized that it had broken. So I had never seen this before. So this is something that you might want to consider before starting a big project, is actually look at the bit and maybe even wiggle it to see if there's any fatigue. It may or may not help you, but I know I was extremely shocked to find a portion of this bit inside of the collet when this bit just fell out onto the table. Something to consider. I don't know if that's something anybody else has had, so if you've had this type of experience, leave me a comment down below so we can get a discussion going on why would this bit break. And keep in mind, there was no stress on the wood itself. There was no damage to the project. So it just broke. Something to think about. Something else that I wanted to point out, using that straight bit, on each of these plaques, I had to sand the edges just a little bit. On this one over here that I completely finished, this edge is absolutely perfect. It cut it and there was absolutely no sanding that was needed for that. So I think from now on, in addition to just covering the surface of the project with the sealer, I think what I'm going to do is actually seal and complete the whole project before carving. Something else that I wanted to point out too, is I had to seal this wood with my clear lacquer, because actually engraving into this paint, it created the dust from that engraving and left a nice solid black line, but that dust was free to move around. So to be able to seal that, I had to put 2 coats of the clear lacquer onto this plaque so that that dust would not get blown all over the place and cause a big mess. That was something I was not anticipating either. So another lesson learned on my laser journey, to be able to realize that oftentimes this dust will still be soft and fluid and it will blow away. So I took it off of the machine and immediately sprayed it to be able to seal it in, and now it gives a very nice protective coating that's not going to bleed or blow away. Because I want this as black as it possibly can be. I also want to point out that when I am cutting out a project such as this, normally I use a downcut bit. However, in this situation, the downcut bit was not long enough. This is 3/4 inch material and the downcut bit is not long enough. Thus, I had to use the straight bit, which is longer. If you look closely at the cut line, you can see the little fuzzies from using the straight bit that I had to sand off. In easel, this is the workpiece that I use to be able to cut out the sheriff's plaque, and I'm using this at 48 inches per minute for my rate, and I know somebody will ask. Also, I want to point out, on the raw wood, when I engraved this, the ash did not form as it did on the painted surface. But still in all, once I completed the sanding of the edges, I went ahead and sprayed the clear gloss on top of the project. Once this dried, yes, I do flip it over and seal the back side. So it's literally sealed on all edges. That helps to prevent any type of warpage, because it will warp if you do not do this step. A couple other things that I want to point out. I'm using the exact center to be able to cut this out with the easel software as I did using the laser and the light burn software. In addition to that, to be able to cut this out, I am using the glue and tape method to hold it down. And it does release quite easily to be able to remove and then slip in the next piece. Now before I do that, of course, I have to clean this area. So I'll vacuum it very thoroughly and make sure that the surface is nice, smooth, and flat without having the sawdust in the way. The other thing that you're going to notice, look at the carving on the hardboard. It's actually cut deeper on the front side than it did on the back. The reason for that is it's actually raised up off of the surface of the wasteboard. Because I'm doing a cutout, it's not really a big issue. If I was doing the actual carving onto the surface, that would be a problem. But in this situation, not a big deal, but I know that somebody would make a comment, so I wanted to explain what was happening and why. Now the next thing I want to point out, I went ahead and put the tape down, but then as I went ahead and put this plaque down, look at the left side. It's actually raised up. This wood is warped. So now I have to be very careful as to how I place the tape. So in this situation, the contact is between the front and the back. So I'm going to put plenty of tape there and be able to secure it down that way. Because there's nothing in the center that's going to be holding this. I still need to be able to hold the edges, and I need to be able to hold the plaque itself once it's cut out. Because if you do not have the waste portion as well as the project secure, it will move, and yes, that can cause a problem and possibly break a bit and damage the project. So you'll notice I'm putting 2 pieces of tape at the top, because that I can get a good glue surface, as well as at the bottom. The rest of it, the glue and the tape will not hold anything because of how the wood is warped. I want to point out that I am using the Starbond Thin CA glue for this project, and this I use just about every day in my shop, and I really like this glue. I'm also going to put a link in the description below so that if you'd like to purchase this, you'll be able to get a 10% off. In addition, the accelerator is going to be used, and I'm going to spray that onto the back of the tape on the back of the project. And that way it will adhere almost instantly. And I'm spraying this right off camera because I did not want to spray it toward the camera itself. But with that sprayed, I can just put it right down in place, push it down, secure it, and it's dry. So there you go. Just like that, it is now done and it's ready to be able to start the carving. And the last thing I want to point out to you too, this has really been an easy transition to be able to use the light burn software to engrave this with the laser and then immediately switch over to the easel and cut it out. I talked about this earlier in the video where this straight bit did an absolutely fantastic job cutting this where there was no fuzzies, no rough edge, and this required no sanding at all. And I wanted to be able to show you actually how it did carve and how clean that it is. I think this is something that everybody should consider doing with their projects. If at all possible, finish the project completely before cutting it out. I know I'm going to consider doing this on every project that I can possibly do it with. Hi everyone, thank you for watching my video today. If you like the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified on the different videos that I upload. Also check out the videos over here to be able to stay up to date on the happenings in my shop. So again, thank you for watching my videos.